All right, guys, so we're going to start doing probability. Now, on probability, I'm sorry, is it yes, on probability. It's not going to be as easy as you guys are used to in sixth grade, that it's, take one red pebble out of the bag, and out of 100 pebbles, what is your probability? That's going to be 1 out of 100. You are going to get some questions like that, but it's going to go beyond that. So I'm going to do the simple stuff first, just to make sure that you're clear on it. So yes, you do have, a bag, and you have, 5 pebbles in it, and one of them is green, for example, and, maybe one of them is blue. And they say, what is the probability that you will get a green pebble or a green marble? And then yes, you count all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your denominator. And then the probability that you'll get a green one, that's 1. So basically, this is how this is read. You have 1 chance out of 5 of getting a green marble. Okay? So now this is the probability, but if they ask for what is the percentage of probability, you need to put this in the calculator, or you need to do long division. 1 divided by 5 equals 0.2. Okay, but now if you want to turn this into a percentage of probability, you're going to move that decimal 2 times to the right. Okay, and then put your percentage sign. You need a 0 here. So there is a 20% chance, 20% chance that you're going to get a green marble. Okay, so you have to understand that all of this can be converted into a decimal. Once it's converted into a decimal, then you can convert into a percentage. All right. Now you're going to get questions like this that you need to know how to do. And there's 2 ways of doing it, and I'm going to go through both of them. Let's say, for example, this one. John tests crayon productions at a factory. Okay, so there's a factory of crayons, and he's testing them to see if there's any damage. Out of 100 crayons that he tests, he finds 4 damages. Okay, what can be predicted? If the factory produces 5,000 crayons, how much damage would there be? Okay, now you can find, there's 2 ways of doing this, and I'm going to introduce you to both of them. So first of all, let's find the probability of damages. Okay, so out of 100 crayons, that's how many crayons? 4 have damages. Okay, so 4 damage out of 100 crayons. Now you could find what is the probability of that. 4 out of 100. You can use your calculator and say 4 divided by 100 equals 0.04. If you want to put it as a percentage, it's 4%. So there's a 4% probability that there's a damage. Okay? And the probability is 0.04. So now if you want to find out approximately how many damages are in 5,000, all you do, now that you know the probability of damage, all you do is you grab your 5,000 and you multiply it by your 0.04, because that's the percentage of, that's your probability of damage. Okay? And that is going to tell you how many have damages, and that will be 200. Okay, so out of 5,000 is 200. Now remember, if you're going to do this process like that, and by any chance the question gives you the percentage, if they say there's a 4% probability of damage, you always, in order to do multiplication with a percentage, you always have to turn the percentage into a decimal, which then you do it the other way around. You move 2 spaces to the left and turn it into a decimal, and then you can get to this. Okay. The second way that you can do this, which is the way that I always prefer doing these type of things, is that I can use my probabilities and my proportionality formula, which is they're talking about 2 things, right? They're talking about crayons and they're talking about damages. So I'm going to put damages to crayons. You always have to keep it in this order. And then I'm going to say, well, if out of 100 crayons, there are 4 damages, then how many damages in 5,000 crayons? And this is something you could use anytime that you're comparing one thing and another. They're comparing 2 things. Okay, now they're going to give you the 3 figures and you have to organize it. So this is damages, this is crayons. I don't know the damages, I know the crayons. And then you're going to do your cross multiply, which 4 times 5,000 is 20,000. And then you're going to divide it by 100. Okay, and I don't really need to use a calculator for this. You should know you can eliminate 2 zeros here. You can eliminate 2 zeros here. 200 divided by 1 is just going to be 200. And you're going to get your same answer. Okay, but they can ask you different things. They could just give you the percentage of probability. You can get a question, and I'm saying they because these things are going to come out in the FSA. Okay, and I'm not the one that writes it. So they can say there is a 2% damage probability in car production. Okay, let's say, for example, could you predict out of 5,000 cars how much damage is there? Okay, for example, I'm just throwing a big example. If they just give you this information, you're going to say, well, if there's a 2% damage probability, they're already giving you the probability. Then you convert this into a decimal. So it's 0.02 and you multiply it, okay, by your production of cars, and there you go. You have that. Okay. If they give it to you in a fraction, okay, they say there is a 2/3 damage probability or whatever it is that they do. If they give this to you in a fraction, now what you have to do is that you have to convert this fraction, okay, into a decimal, which is not difficult to do because they're letting you use the calculator. You go 2 divided by 3, and that's 0.666 or 0.6 infinity, or you can round it to 0.67, okay, and then multiply it by 5,000. So, I mean, just be smart about it and understand that you could just, convert this into a percentage, okay, easily by dividing this divided by this. Okay. All right, now we're going to get into something a little bit more difficult, and it's compound probability. This is very difficult to teach if you don't have props and if you don't have the proper videos because it's something very visual, okay? But let's say, for example, I'm going to give you one simple one, and it's if you have die. Oh, here, actually, I made a worksheet to help with this. Let's say you have dice, okay? And you have 2 of them. And they say, first of all, you have to know that the probability of picking a die is 1 out of 6. So if I say, what is the probability of picking a 3 if you throw the dice? Well, it's going to be 1 because there's 6 faces in a die. So it's 1 out of 6. Okay? But now if I ask you, what is the probability of picking a 1 in 1? When I throw it, what is the probability of picking a 1 and a 6? Okay, now that's called compound probability because you're using 2 things. Okay, you're actually comparing 2 things. So it's not just going to be 1, 6. Well, this one to pick a 6 is also 1 out of 6 because there's only 1 chance of you getting a 6. And then you have to multiply it. You have to go 1 times 6 times 6 is 36. So there is 1 out of 36 probability that when you throw the die, you're going to get a 1 and a 6 in the other. Okay? Looks a little confusing, but let's look at this. Let's say I have a spinner. Okay, the spinner is divided into 7 places. That's why I put that in my denominator. And I say, what is the probability? And there's 2 spinners. So I'm like, I have 2 spinners. I'm going to spin 2 spinners. What is the probability that I'm going to get a green in both spinners? Well, what is the forget about this one for now. What is the possibility that I'm going to get a green in this one? It's 2 out of 7 because there's 2 green ones. Then I look at this one. What is the possibility that I'm going to get a green in this one? Well, there's 2 out of 7. Now you have to multiply them. 2 times 2 is 4. 7 times 7 is 49. And that's basically what you're going to do. Okay? let's say you have these two. What is the probability that I am going to get a hot pink pebble, okay, out of each of these little baskets? So I'm going to put my hand in this little basket and get a hot pink one. I'm going to put my hand in this little basket and get a hot pink one. Well, first look at the first one and say, well, out of this one, there's 10 pebbles in all. And there's 3 hot pink ones. So I have a bigger possibility here, right? 3 out of 10. In this one, there's 10 pebbles in all, and there's only 1 hot pink. So I have 1 hot pink. Now, that's great if I just do it. But if I have both, and what are the chances? What are the probability that I have only 1 shot? I'm going to stick my hand in one and get a hot pink one. And then I'm going to stick my hand in the other one, in this one, and get a hot pink one. I multiply it. I go 3 out of 10 and 1 out of 10. 3 times 1 is 3. 10 times 10 is 100. So my chances of getting it is 3 out of 100. Now I want you to understand what this means. Is that a high probability? No. This is like kind of like winning the lottery. It's going to be very difficult for you on 1 shot to go to get 3 out of 100. If you want to see this as a percentage, as a percentage, 3 out of 100 is 0.03, which this is dumb that I even use this. You should know this by now. There's a 3% chance, okay? A 3% chance that you're going to get exactly 1 out of each bucket. All right, now for compound probability, I found a video. I've looked like to 20 videos. I found one that is way better than what I could ever do. This girl does a fantastic job, and she's got a lot of visuals, and I loved it. Please look at it. I'm not gonna give you a hard question on this on the test, but look at this video that the girl did, because it is really, 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 really good, and it's really gonna help you understand this even better than I can teach it. So I'm posting that on YouTube, that video on my website as well. All right, bye guys.